Hey everybody, welcome. My name is Chris, and I'm back with a sort of tournament report and deck discussion based on a legacy event I played yesterday. I'll do a spoiler alert now, which was that the event went very well. I was playing Blue White Stoneblade in an event called London Legacy Monthly, which, sorry, just recentering the camera, which for those who don't know is a really, really great community run event from some friends of mine, really, really lovely people, Callum, Tom, and Claude, who are all, yeah, as the name implies, London based legacy players. They offer a proxies allowed event, but with generous prizes. All the money from entries goes into the prize pool, as far as I know, except for maybe a bit to pay for the room. And the prizes are really generous. Um, yeah, basically, it's typically around 40 to 50 players. Yesterday was a little shy. It was about 38 or something. I didn't count, but I think it was about 37, 38 players. It were and it's 6 rounds, and basically I'll talk you through each of my Swiss rounds and then the elimination rounds at the end as well. I'll talk you through what I faced, how the matchups went, what cards felt good in the deck, what cards felt bad in the deck, and basically just give a ringing endorsement of Blue White Stoneblade. I still think it's great. Don't know why nobody's playing it anymore. It's still sweet. So, yeah, here we go. So round one, I am paired against Blue Black Death Shadow in the hands of a gentleman I don't know. Although I think his name was Will, and he seemed really, really nice, but we didn't really I didn't really know him very well. Like about half the people there are friends of mine at this point, but because I've played that event about 5 times now. It's not quite monthly anymore, but it's sort of roughly every month or two. If you're in UK and you want to play Legacy, I really recommend it. Um, yeah, so I was playing against this Will, who was playing Blueback Death Shadow, and basically it's a fantastic matchup for us. They struggle against the card Swords to Plowshares big time. They also struggle against True Name Nemesis pre-board, although post-board they have all the really good black tools like Toxic Deluge, which obviously pairs with their Life Loss plan. They also have Plague Engineer, although I can't remember if he had that or not. He for sure had a Deluge. And they probably have an Edict effect or two as well. So the true name is less of a trump post board, but in pre board it's just unbeatable, especially if you get an equipment on it. Long story short, I drew 3 copies of Swords to Plowshares game 1 and 1 game 1. And then game 2 and game 3 both went approximately the same, which was that I had fine openers, and I think I kept either 7 or 6 both games. And basically, the opening exchanges were kind of fine for both players. I think we were just trading resources. Nothing really happened. And then I kind of just cantripped into... Like, my hand just got worse when I was casting Brainstorms and Ponders, which is not really how it's supposed to go. And got overpowered both times in what should have been my best possible matchup. So, bad start. Lost round 1. And I'm feeling a little bit down because it should have been a really good matchup. Round 2... I play against a sort of a half a mirror. It was like a blue-white, but it was double splashing red and black. Stoneblade with a small snow theme. They were playing some astrolabes for fixing. They were playing some small Teferis to muck about with the astrolabes. It was like a pseudo mirror. The black was for Drown in the Loch and Thoughtseize. I don't think I saw any Baleful Strix. Maybe Sideboard Plague Engineers. I'm sure I saw those. And the red was for just blasts. I think just blasts, and struggling to think of anything else I saw offhand in red. Maybe a Blood Moon or two, which might sound incredibly greedy in a 4-colour deck, but that's Legacy. You can do whatever you want. So this was a really, really tight set of 3. I think I for sure lost one game. I think it was the first game. No, it was the second game. I lost the second game because I remember it was basically Gideon ally of Zendikar on my side, and my opponent had like a Jace, a Teferi, some creatures, two true names, and like Gideon on his own was holding off all of it. Gideon is a beast in fair matchups. Yeah, can't recommend Gideon enough if you can squeeze one into your list. And then basically game 3, I remember being very far behind. I can't remember exactly what happened, but yeah, I ended up winning 2-1 against a pseudo mirror. I remember winning game 3 from a bad position because of drawing, like, I think it was just 2 true names in a row, and the card is like unbeatable if they don't have a. Obviously, if you'd had a Plague Engineer, I'd be screwed. So, got a bit lucky there. What was next? Next was I played against a newer player, a chap called Christian. It was his like second ever Legacy event, and he had borrowed his friend's big Eldrazi deck. Yeah, the type Chalice of the Void, Thought Not Seer, Reality Smasher, Eye of Ugin, all the Soul lands. That was another 2-1 win. So that put me to 2-1 on my record, and that was a fairly. It was like a fairly one. I lost a fairly one-sided game 1, and then games 2 and 3. You just get that little bit more removal. Having the, I don't know if you can see my mouse pointer. Having the Council's Judgment and the Path to Exile helps a ton. Disenchant's also good because obviously Chalice of the Void is a problem, and they usually set it on 1, so you can blow it up with these. And then Venser is also quite good in that matchup. Yeah, so that put me to 2-1. Round 4, I played against a chap called Nick, who is A, excellent, and B, always beats me. And Nick was playing like the Sultai, Hogak, Vengevine, Bridge from Below, Crab deck. I don't know what you want to call it. He called it Hogak, so I'm going to call it Hogak. So Nick was playing Sultai Hogak and totally overpowered me game 1. Game 2, I effectively sort of stole it, I guess, because possibly Nick drew, I would say, an unrealistic ratio of sideboard cards, and I was able to exile 3 Bridge from Belows at once by flashing in the last card in my hand, which was a Snapcaster Mage for no value, chump blocking Avengevine and getting rid of 3 Bridge from Belows, and then I was already ahead on board. I think I had a true name, and I was able to just pull away from there, basically. So exiling the Bridge from Belows was kind of key. Nick felt like he punted that one, and we discussed it afterwards because he cast a Cabal Therapy on me, and felt like he should have used it on himself to put some Vengevines in the bin. And I think in retrospect, had he done that, he probably would have won. But fortunately for me, he missed that at the time, so that was very. Or if maybe he didn't miss it, maybe he chose to use it on me, knowing that it was an option for him to use it on himself. I don't know, but it played out in my favour, and I seem to remember game 3 was like a reasonable clock and a containment priest, and maybe a. I can't. Yeah, sorry. Yesterday was very mentally taxing. I can't remember, but either way, it worked out to be a 2-1 win for me. So I got the Nick-shaped monkey off my back because we've played twice previously, and they've both been close games, and he's won both. So it was nice to get one up because he's a good player and also a really nice opponent, I should add. So that puts me at 3-1. Round 5, I played against a chap called Seb, playing blue-red Delver, with Dreadhorde Arcanists, and it was the same all day. I just kept I kept winning really close sets of 3 all day. So we played. I can't remember what order I lost in. I think I won game 1, lost game 2, and won game 3, and I. In the 2 games I won, I turned a corner really fast, if that makes sense. So both games I went from like half dead to Delvers to like way ahead on board in a turn or two, just from like playing Stoneforge into Jace or something like that. So, yeah, it just goes to show how fast you can stabilize. You need like one Batterskull or one Planeswalker, and you turn the corner because they're super cheap, super efficient, super versatile cards. Just they don't have the power of the bigger stuff that you play in Stoneblade because they're all 1 and 2 mana and free spells and stuff. So if you can get to the mid game, you usually can overpower them, and that put me to 4-1. And in an event of this size, 4-1 usually gets you in because 4-1-1, 13 points is almost always a lock at this size of event. So I had a little chat with my round 6 opponent, which would have been Callum, one of the organisers, and we both agreed that we felt safe to draw, so we drew, and we went off and had some food. So that put me at 13 points. The top 8 was announced. I was 5th, Callum was 4th, so I ended up playing Callum anyway in the quarterfinals, with Callum on the play because of his seeding, which I guess was just down to, what's it called? Breakers. So Callum was on the play in the quarterfinals. Callum was playing, I don't know if you've seen it, there's this really sweet new mono blue artifacts as a Narset Echo of Eons. It's like the most broken cards just jammed together. Yeah, so Callum's playing this deck, which he is certainly in the UK. He's like the authority on this deck. He helped tweak it to the point where it's actually of a playable power level. I don't know if he designed the deck, but he for sure brought it up to a good level through testing and like changing his list and stuff. So he knows the deck inside out. And game one, I'm on the draw, and he mulliganed to 5, and I'm thinking this is fine, this is good. And the long and short of it is he goes something like, his opener is something like land, LED, petal, echo. So he sacks the 2 LEDs, floats 6 blue, casts echo. I have no force of will, so it happens. We both draw new 7s. I still don't hit a force of will. And then he basically does all of that again, but with a Narset in play. So this time I don't get to draw any cards because I've already drawn 7 cards this turn, and Narset says I can't draw more than 1. So I would go down to 0 cards in hand. He would have a fresh hand and loads of mana, and I just decide that that's enough. I decide that getting Mind Twisted for 7 on my turn 0 was like more than I could handle. So I packed it up. Callum was a mixture of pleased and apologetic, and I guess he deserved it. It was a hell of a turn. It was one of the more busted turns of Legacy I've ever seen. There's a video on this channel somewhere of me playing a blue-white Bomberman with Echo of Eons and Narset combo in that I made ages ago. It was like the best turns that can have times 2, basically. Anyway, post side, I bring in Rest in Peace and Disenchant, and did I bring in anything else? I probably brought in Sword of Fire and Ice, and I probably brought in Venser because I can't remember is the honest answer, but the rips and the disenchants were the main thing. And I get to resolve a turn 2 Rest in Peace uncontested, and then I think Callum on either his turn 1 or his turn 2, he played a Sigh and like 5 Thopters. It was a stupid turn, and it looked like it might be problematic, but I think I for sure had a Stoneforge, but I decided out Jitte because I forgot about Thopters. So I had to get a Batterskull, but luckily a Batterskull and a True Name just got me there quite fast. And then game 3, Callum was super all in, committed all of his resources to a turn 1 Echo, and then I had the Force of Will, and it was trivial to win from there, basically. So the long and short of it is I beat Callum 2-1 in the quarterfinals. Then I progressed to play against a lady called Hannah, who was playing Black-Green Depths, which is a good matchup for me because I have 4 Swords to Plowshares and a Caracas. And again, it went to 3 games. Game 2, she brought in a pretty strong transformational plan to almost play like modern Black Green or Jund. She brought in Lilianas and Goyfs and Thoughtseize, and I I fell behind to like a resolved turn 3 Liliana and just never came back basically. I remember she once upon a time did into a Bajuka bog and said, "Oh, that's not great." And I was looking at it thinking, because I had a fetch land and I had 2 other islands and I had a council's judgment in my graveyard. So my plan was like, because I'm bound to draw an island at some point. My plan was to basically, when I get an island, I could fetch my Mystic Sanctuary, get back my council's judgment, and kill her Liliana. Because that was, I was managing it and there was nothing else going on, and I thought that would stabilize me. And then she got this bog which didn't look significant at all, and it killed me. So that was, so I lost game 2, and then game 3, I handled the problems. Basically, you can only make so many Marit Lages, and I had more answers than she had Marit Lages. So long and short of it was that I think I had 2 true names clocking her quite fast as well. So yeah, it went fine. So that's game that's the semi-finals I've just won. So I'm now into the finals, and I have a habit of losing finals, so I'm not very confident. My opponent is a guy called Mario, who if I had to guess, I would say was Spanish. I think his last name was Hispanic. He was playing Death and Taxes, and as I understand it, he won the last London Legacy Monthly. He seems to be one of the better players, and he seemed, well, having played against him, he played his deck beautifully. So he, in game 1, he was basically on the front foot throughout because he had a turn 1 Vial on the play. And then I can't remember exactly what happened, but I was thinking I was stable. I had a Stoneforge which I hadn't gotten to activate yet. And he had a Mirren Crusader and another stone. He had a Mirren Crusader, a Stoneforge, and he had a Sword of Fire and Ice in play, and I had 1 removal spell. So he goes to combat, and I, with the Sword of Fire and Ice equipped to his Stoneforge, so I just I didn't block the Mirren Crusader. I ploughed the Stoneforge and took 4. And then I think my life total was still stable at this point. And then he untaps, ticks his Vial up to 4, draws and immediately vials in a Palace Jailer on my only blocker. I didn't draw anything for my turn. And then equips the Sword of Fire and Ice to his Mirren Crusader, and I scooped. Because there's no way you're beating the Monarch plus a Mirren Crusader with... I mean, granted, it has protection from everything except my removal, because it doesn't have protection from white, but that's not the point. He's going to draw 2, he's going to deal up to 12 damage, which probably would have killed me. I didn't do any maths, I just scooped. And then he's going to draw again. So I backed that one in. Game 2 went on for it was probably like a 40-minute game. Once again, it was like Gideon against the world, basically. Gideon was amazing. And there was just there was a period of time where I like the game was in the balance. I was probably slightly behind, but if my deck had given me some help, I could have been fine. And for sure, Mario was worried a few times, and for sure, I was worried a few times as the balance of power was shifting around. And then, long story short, is I made one big mistake, which was I forgot he could block with a Thalia and then Caracas his own Thalia. So that cost me 2 Jitte counters because I didn't deal any combat damage, and I was relying on the Jitte counters to win the game. Not to win the game, but to get me back in the game, I should say. So that was a huge mistake. And but this was at 9:30 at night, and I'd been playing since 1, so I think I allowed 1 mistake. But yeah, that basically cost me the game. Was because I wasted a disenchant to get him to pick up a Batterskull so I could make a good attack, knowing that the Jitte counters, if I got them, would have made a huge difference. And then I didn't get them because of the Caracas trick I just mentioned, and that really I should have seen it. It was on board, but I missed it. Cost me it cost me the game, and consequently, it cost me a significantly reduced prize, which I will now show you. So yeah, as I was saying, sorry, I've just set up a little slideshow with the deck I was playing as well. Yeah, as I was saying, the prizes were very generous. So first place was a revised Tundra. Second place was this. I don't know if you can see that very well. This beautiful Badlands. It's in really nice condition, especially on the front. So I've got revised Badlands, and then third and fourth were Force of Wills, and fifth through eighth were Misty Rainforests. So yeah, very generous prizes for an event that's not too expensive to enter and only had 40 players. So yeah, if you live in the UK and you play Legacy and you don't go to London Legacy Monthly, go. You have no excuse. It's great. It's accessible. It's easy to get to on the tube, and the people are lovely. So yeah, what you're seeing in front of you is the exact cards I played yesterday. Literally the ones I own. All I can say is that I had a hell of a time. I'm really happy to come second because that was about my fifth LLM, and I have always gotten actually all but one. I've had positive results, and I've never top 8'd. I keep coming 9th or 10th. So it was really, really nice to get a sense of progress and achievement. Feel like I'm learning. Feel like I'm playing better. Because I should say that the standard of the players is high. They are not like, not all Pro Tour regulars, but like legacy specialists, some really talented players, some really nice people. Probably people who you'd probably, if you play Legacy online, you might recognise their username even if you don't know their human name. So yeah, all in all, really, really great day. Really happy with my performance. Really happy with my gameplay. Several players who I consider much better than me complimented my play, which I was hugely pleased about. Potential cuts and changes to the deck going forward. So Narset stunk all day. She was crap. And I played against such a diverse meta. Like, she just didn't matter. So I would cut both Narsets. I've decided that that's the next change I'm going to make. They're both coming out. Then the two cards going into the main are the second Council Judgment will come out of the sideboard into the main, and I'll add a Brazen Borrower, the new card from Throne of Eldraine. That's looked really good. I watched quite a lot of people casting it yesterday, and it always looked impressive. And then I will, in the slot in the sideboard freed up by moving the Council's Judgment, I will add a second Vendilion Clique. So those are the changes I'm going to make. Yeah, I missed having flyers to put weapons on. So yeah, a clique and a borrower will give me 2 extra flyers, and the extra Council's Judgment will give me with that 2 in the main plus a borrower, that gives me 3 outs to random janky permanents. Like you get sort of shut out with a bridge or a chalice or something, then you don't have disenchants game 1. That's just 3 really good outs to nonsense. So yeah, those are the pardon me, those are the changes I'm looking to make going forward. And the deck, I think, is still competitive, still really good. All Stars Gideon was amazing. True Name was amazing. Sword of Feast and Famine was good. Right, it might sound funny because I literally didn't connect with it once, but every single opponent that cast a Thoughtseize when I had it, or when I put it into play, or they saw me tutor it up from a Stoneforge or whatever, there was just panic in their eyes, and they all had to jump through hoops to deal with it. Now they all managed to, but the fear it put into people is real. So yeah, Sword of Feast and Famine I was impressed with. Spell Snare was really good. Spell Snare was really, really good. The matchups I got paired with, Swords to Plowshares was really good. Mystic Sanctuary was really good. I would definitely recommend playing 1 Mystic Sanctuary in your deck. And yeah, I'm basically really happy with the configuration apart from the changes I just described. So if you are looking to play Blue-White Blade in Legacy, basically I would play this 75 with the 3 changes just described. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you go to London Legacy Monthly. I hope you play Legacy, play Blue-White, play Stoneblade in every format, And I'm more than happy if you guys want to ask me any questions. Yeah, just hit me up in the comments. Thank you very much, and yeah, take care. Goodbye.